Okay, cool. So let's start today's GIS webinar provided by the Department of Geospatial Informatics at Troy University. Today, we are so glad to have Mr. Brad Lucas to present where are the day and nighttime population of GIS application in business. So let me briefly introduce Mr. Lucas. So he has been a senior planner for the city of Cheney in Washington since 2010. Meanwhile, he owns and operates a successful GIS consulting business. The name is the Cardinal Geographics. So he holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Geography from Oregon State University and a Master of Arts degree in Economic Geography from California State University, East Bay. So let's welcome Mr. Brad Lucas.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our webinar today. So again, I'm Brett Lucas. I'm a geographer and land use planner. I reside here in Spokane, Washington. Work in Cheney, Washington. Been in the industry for about 30 years as a geographer, and the last 21 years as a land use planner. So I apply GIS and geography daily as a planner. So today, let me share my PowerPoint. And do a full screen. Let's see here. And let me know, everybody, if you see a PowerPoint slide in front of you. If you do, say yes.
Yes.
Great. Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. So today we're going to really use GIS, and we're going to use the software package Maptitude to do a little case study of day and nighttime populations and traffic counts for an application of GIS in the business community. And so forth. So this is a chance to kind of see some other software packages out there. There's a lot of good software packages out there: MapInfo, Maptitude, Esri, all aiming at slightly different market segments. But again, we'll kind of discuss today where we're going with this. So next slide here. So really today we're going to talk to the student, everybody here, about the Maptitude software package, some of the tools. We're going to basically do a case study of McDonald's restaurants in Montgomery, Alabama, and how the day and night population patterns at the block group level can be used. We're going to look at traffic count data, and then we're going to see which locations benefit from a drive time to work versus a drive time to home commute pattern. Again, GIS is just one of the tools in the geographer's tool belt. Other tools, like I said, I use all the time are Google Maps, Street View, out in the field doing field observations and such. So again, this is really just one tool in that tool belt. So Maptitude is a desktop GIS package, just like ArcInfo or ArcMap or ArcPro GIS. So it's a desktop package. You install it on your computer. Once you do install it, you open up the software, and basically you have a bunch of, I call them map wizards, that kind of walk you through the process of getting a map put together. So, for instance, here on the left-hand side of the screen, I'm going to be opening up a new map of the United States, and then it's going to ask me here on the right-hand side of the screen, do I want to do an address? Do I want to do a city, a state, a zip code, and so forth. So we're going to actually create a map of Montgomery, Alabama. Maptitude, I guess, is the side here. Basically, it comes with the country package of your choosing. I have the United States of America. It has street and demographic data built in, but if you want to bring in your own data from another source, you're more than welcome to. It includes boundary level data at the state, county, and zip code level, and has a built-in geocoder, and that's worth a lot for those who have to geocode a bunch of addresses. Also, it comes with a whole host of demographic and American community survey data, and this is just an example here of income data, educational attainment data, age cohort data, industry employment data, travel time data, information about housing units, employment, all kinds of good stuff. Again, this is all stuff that the Census Bureau collects when they do the decennial census, or stuff that comes from the Bureau of Economic Analysis or Bureau of Labor Statistics. All that kind of government data is basically brought in. They kind of clean it up and get it into layers that are really usable by the user. So when you launch Maptitude, this is what you get. You get a screen here showing your city. So what you see here in the left-hand side of the screen here is your layers. These are layers that kind of open up when you zoom into a large-scale area like Montgomery, Alabama. At the top here are your selection toolbars. You have your active layer, some drop-down menus. You have your thematic mapping, graduated symbol, your mapping tools here. Here at the top, you have your routing tools, buffers, heat maps. Over here to the middle, you have your tools to do labeling, freehand symbols, bring in images. You have your pan and zoom toolbar. Then here at the end here, you have information toolbars. So if you click on let's say you wanted to click on this hospital here, you can find out information about the hospital. Lettering or your text editing toolbar, and then at the end here you have your measuring area, linear distances, angles, and things like that. So again, this is kind of the default as Maptitude. When the map comes in, you can turn on and off different layers, as you see in the left. For instance, going forward here, we'll probably turn off the world country layer, the 10-degree grid, probably the county layer, because those really aren't necessary on a map of this scale, but they might be necessary on a different type of map. Then over your far right, you have your legend box, area landmark layers and things. You can turn layers on, off, modify the legend as you wish to. So the first thing we're going to want to do here with this test or this case here is really focus on Montgomery, Alabama. So what I've done is I've gone in to my selection toolbar here and on our census place layer, gone in and selected the city of Montgomery as our area of focus. The reason I did a selection set here is we're going to bring in some data from Maptitude, block groups and traffic count data, but that data is going to be for the whole United States. And we're going to want to actually just focus on Montgomery. So we're going to actually want to do this selection set because we're going to eventually want to do what I call a cookie cutter about this area of interest to us. So again, this is that selection set. The next thing we're going to do is go into our layers toolbar, which is this one up here, and we're going to actually add some data layers. We're going to actually go here and click on Add Layer, and we're going to add some layers from our data set. Now, this is on my desktop computer at home under my Windows C drive under CC, which is Caliper Corporation Data. I have all my data layers on here, such as block groups, some Canadian files, school district boundaries, banking data, you name it, I have it. So we're going to bring in some data for this particular project. We're going to bring in U.S. Census block groups for 2020, and we're going to bring in USA 2019 traffic count layer. 2019 is the most recent traffic data. 2020 has not been released yet, but this is good enough for our analysis today. So we're going to bring in that data, and voila, that data has been brought into our map here. You see highlighted here in red are our traffic count data as a color theme for now. And you see these purple boundaries are our census block group boundary layer. So this is great. We have our layers brought in, but we got a problem, which is it's for the whole country. So we have to go in next and do some clipping to actually get it for our area only. So we're going to go in and use our tools drop-down menu here. And with our tool drop-down menu, we're going to click on editing, clip layers, and that'll bring up a new wizard, which you see here on the right, which is we're going to use our census place, which is our area highlighted in green, census place layer, and that's that selection set. If you don't do a selection set, then it's going to clip it with all the census places in the United States. Don't want that. So we have to make sure we have a selection set. So we're just going to do our selection set, which is Montgomery, Alabama. And we're the two layers we want to clip our average daily traffic layer and our block group layer. So those are two layers that are check marked. So we're clipping those, and then we're going to add those layers to our GIS map here as new layers. We don't want to create a new map at this time, just adding the layers to our map. So we click OK, Maptitude goes in, clips them all, and this is what you get. Now you have a clipped map. So all those other layers have been now clipped to the city of Montgomery for our analysis here. Now, the next thing we want to do is actually do a little more cleanup, and we want to take the color theme away from the traffic count layer and do a size layer, a graduated symbol layer, so we can see which roads have heavier traffic counts than others. So what we want to do is first go in and use our thematic layer with average daily traffic as our current layer. Go to our thematic layer, and we actually want to remove that layer, or remove that thematic theme, which we do here. And then next, we want to go to our EADT layer and actually add a graduated symbol. So we go to graduated symbol, AADT layer, and we're actually going to do a symbol or a graduated symbol. So a low value of 7 cars per day is going to get a size of 1. In our probably I-65 here, which will have a high value of 115,000 cars per day, we'll give it a size 10 or a 12, so you can actually see some visual difference. So that's the first thing we're going to do here. Then we're going to change layers and go to the block group layer, our new block group layer, and we're going to take our daytime population, and we're going to do a thematic or color theme of 5 different colors to show areas that have low population and high population during the daytime. So we're going to add a color theme there. And next we have a new map with color themes showing our population areas of clusters. And then we have the gray lines here showing traffic counts. So as you can see here, I-65 coming up has some pretty significant traffic counts once US 80 comes in there by the airport, going into downtown. And then again, I-65 going east towards Atlanta, Georgia, again has fairly good traffic counts. You can see the Belt Road here around the city has good sized traffic counts as well. What this map also shows is we have some population nodes of where people are congregating for daytime work. For instance, the shops at Eastgate in the east, Auburn University Montgomery campus, East Yale Mall, downtown, which is the state capital. You would expect a pretty good population coming downtown. And then we have Maxwell Air Force Base to the northwest, which has a significant population that comes into the base during the day for various activities. For this one here, I did a natural break, just 5 colors, natural breaks for the daytime population. Again, on Maptitude, going back to your thematic map layer, click on that, and then you can say, guess what, I want to do a nighttime population, and you can retheme it like this. And here's nighttime population, and this now shows residential neighborhood areas in the east, and you can see there's also a population bubble there on the Air Force Base, which tells me there just probably is some on-base housing on the base that's showing where there's some population. So again, we're doing nighttime population, natural optimal breaks, and I just did a 5-color theme, yellow to purple. In Maptitude, you can do any kind of breaks. You want to do equal area breaks, equal cuts, color ramps. It's all very flexible. I chose 5 because it's something your eye can see. If I did 6 or 7, it gets a little more blurry in terms of the visual acuity of the map. So next, so this point here, looking at this map here, it's great. We got traffic information, we got population information, but our McDonald's restaurants aren't on here yet to see how that's going to play in. So next, we need to bring that data into the map. So a couple ways you can do that. You can either bring that in through a Maptitude layer. Maptitude has business layers, and there's a layer for McDonald's you can actually bring in, or you can actually bring in your own layer. So we're going to bring in a spreadsheet with the city, state, address, and zip code of each of the McDonald's restaurants in Montgomery, Alabama. And we're going to have actually Maptitude geocoded. So we're going to actually at the very top of the screen under map, click on new map. And once you click on that, it's going to ask you, a wizard's going to come up. Don't want to create a new map of the US, new city, a new table. or I want to create a map from a spreadsheet or data table, which is what I want to do. And here at the bottom, you're going to go choose a file. So here on my computer, I have a GIS Day 2020 in Montgomery. I have a file folder here for Montgomery, Alabama, Domino's, and McDonald's restaurants. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring in the data. So the data I have here comes into a spreadsheet, and so I have it as state, city, address, zip code, and the type of location. And so we have mostly standalone restaurants, but we do have one location that's actually inside of a Walmart, which is good to discuss. Or if I really wanted to, I can also bring the data in with latitude and longitude, and Maptitude would actually locate the restaurants by latitude and longitude. Your choice. It has a built-in geocoder, so we're going to do it that way. So it's going to ask me here how I want my fields to come in. What fields do I have? Does it match with them? So I'm going to bring in, we're going to geocode by city, state, and address. It's going to locate it that way. It's going to add the data to my existing map. We're all good there. It's going to ask me if I want to do any kind of color theme or chart theme. We're not. We're just going to bring it in as dots. And if there's any kind of buffers or areas of influence, we're fine with that as is. So this is going to go through, geocode everything, choose a theme. And so it comes up here with a results page. It says I have 12 records. They're all located by address and zip code, all located, 0 records not located. Now, if I have a record not located, I'll bring it in still, and I'll go through there and find out which one that was, go back to my spreadsheet, correct it, and repeat this process and bring the layer back in with it corrected. So it's an iterative process. So now we have our McDonald's locations. They're now been geocoded, brought into the map, and they're shown up here as these red dots. So we now have locations. We can now see which locations are near which streets, which certain traffic counts. This is some good information. So I'm going to ask one question to those who are in this webinar. Do you see, looking at this basic map, any underserved areas of Montgomery, Alabama by McDonald's? So is there any certain geographies? Again, this is looking at daytime population of Montgomery that could be maybe underserved or could be better served with another location. Anything that strikes you on this map?
I would say that would be the downtown area.
Correct. Downtown does not have one, so there could be a location down there. Maybe another one up here in North Montgomery could be another location potentially. And maybe down here where US 82 and State Route 271 come together down here in Southeast could be another potential node to be served. But without looking at aerial photography and other things, that's kind of guessing game here at this point in time. So, but these are some locations that are worth considering. Now we're going to do a little further investigation looking at locations number 1, 2, 3, and 4 here on this map. To do that, we're going to bring in some additional data. One thing we're going to go on do here is we're going to go under map, we can pull up imagery, and I have a variety of imagery that's built in, that's from the internet we can actually bring in, such as OpenStreetMap, Google, a set of Google Maps, USGS imagery. So we're going to bring in some Google satellite imagery. And from that, you can see in the background here, we have our population, we have some satellite imagery. Not as clear on here as it would be on Google Maps, but that's fine. But this starts to tell us some additional information of where neighborhoods are. You can see down here in the right lower left-hand side where the airport is. Obviously, you wouldn't have maybe you'd have a restaurant there as a concessionaire inside the airport. You can see down here east of I-65 looks to be some manufacturing. So this starts to build a richer database. You can start to see a little bit more of what's going on in the community, maybe what restaurants are doing better than others, or why they're located in certain areas. So you also showed on here, as we did a color theme, in red dots are the standalone McDonald's. The black square here, that is actually the Walmart the McDonald's that's actually inside of a Walmart store. Now Walmart partners with McDonald's, Subway, other franchises because they know that helps bring in customers. And if you're going into Walmart for some other shopping, you may want to swing by McDonald's and get a burger on the way out the door, or a Subway sandwich, or what have you. So again, this aerial photography again provides us some of that additional richness to the data. We can also visualize this map as a prism map. So Maptitude can do a prism map. Here, we're actually showing The height of the prism is daytime population, so you can see where your daytime clusters. Again, this is that cluster of downtown. And color is your nighttime population. So you can see over here, low prism height, which is low daytime population, but high or darker color, which is a higher nighttime population. So again, this prism map is just another way of showing that data or visualizing that data for the user. So the first site on there we're looking at is the McDonald's location by the mall, Eastdale Mall, which has JCPenney, Dillard's, and Belk. Sears used to be there. You can look at it here on the map. You can see where the location is. The actual location is just north of the red dot. So the geocoding was pretty darn good. When I click on that red dot, or actually on the traffic layer right below the red dot, I can pull up some data. And for instance, this restaurant actually has a traffic count of 45,000 cars per day. So this is a pretty healthy street. So a lot of good information here. Drive time in. So this location probably benefits from a breakfast crowd. So they might want to have maybe a good breakfast menu, or maybe some specials for breakfast to get customers in there. Okay, so this is a Google map of the same location. Here's the McDonald's location. As you can see, cars coming in Atlanta Highway can easily turn into the location, go through the drive-through, come back out to Atlanta Highway. They can come in off of a side street. So traffic flow coming in, you have a 3-lane each way highway, pretty good, easy in and out. So this is actually a good location for breakfast. Probably not a great location going home at dinner time. Don't know what traffic is like here, but this is probably, does not have a signalized intersection. You probably have to come into Burbank Drive, come in there, come around to the top for a stoplight access, and probably back out that way. So maybe a little more complicated. Location number 2, this is down over here by the Air Force Base. McDonald's is down here. There is where the Firestone store is. There's a Burger King, Popeye's Chicken on base. So I'll ask this question to everybody. Do you think this location does pretty well? Do you think it probably does pretty well with a lunch crowd? I would probably say yes. I would say with the proximity to the base, there's probably a fairly good chance you get a lot of folks on base, come over here for lunch, maybe come through here at dinner time or breakfast time on the way in or way home. But this probably benefits heavily from a lunch crowd. So again, if I was a restaurateur, this is probably a location where I'd want to make sure I have a higher staffing levels, maybe during the lunch hour, to handle the 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock lunch rush. This is another one of the locations. This is down here off of US 80 east of I-65. Again, you have a mobile home park in the south. You have other residential to the east. This maybe benefits from the dinner home crowd, drive home direction. You also have I-65 coming up through here, coming up from Mobile all the way up to Birmingham and Points North. Again, a lot of the traffic generated by this restaurant may be through traffic on the interstate, just passing through, getting off the freeway, hitting the restaurant for lunch. If you also notice on here, you'll see on the far left, Wendy's, you got Hardee's on here, Waffle House, Captain D's, Popeyes, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, and the rest. So this is going to have some synergy here with other QSRs. So you can have a lot of people just getting off of this interchange, passing through, they want to get gas, a lodging, or just want to get dinner or a meal, and they're going to have a lot of choice here. So this is going to benefit from that synergy of co-location with other restaurants. And this is the last location we're going to look at here, which is really over there in Southeast. You have 2 locations. You have a standalone McDonald's here on the left. You also have a McDonald's here in the Walmart store. So I'm going to ask this question to everybody. What is the advantage of Walmart? Do you think that brings in more customers to that Walmart store? Maybe not. Is there any disadvantages? Any thoughts?
I think it might keep them there longer when they're in.
Yeah, absolutely. So you probably, if you're just going in, you want drive-through service, you're probably going to go to the standalone McDonald's. But if you're going into the Walmart store, maybe to pick something else up, maybe you're picking up a prescription or picking up something else, maybe an apparel, the McDonald's might be quite convenient to pick up a burger and a drink on the way out the door. There's also a Murphy's USA gas service up front. So again, that also might be an advantage where you might come in, get gas, and hit the McDonald's quickly to get a bite to eat. Since most of those McDonald's locations are actually located in the front of the store, you don't have to go all the way through the store to get to it. You just walk in, get your stuff, and walk out. So again, if you're a drive-through customer, you're not going to go to the Walmart. But again, if you are on that part of town, it may be quite convenient. So this is the last slide. Just kind of ask for basically if you have any other questions. And otherwise, I just really wanted to walk you through Maptitude, the website's here. Great software package. If you are a student, you get a free license if you want. All you have to do is email them with your EDU email address to make that request, and they will send you a copy of the software with the United States country package with all the data that I just showed you here, except for the block groups. It goes all the way down to the track level pre-included. If you want the block groups, that is an actual additional cost. But the traffic count data that I shared on here, that's a free data download. Absolutely free for anywhere in the United States. You download that data and you're off to the races. So with that, I'm going to roll it out to any questions. Any questions about the presentation, software, anything like that? What can I help you with?
Your census data.
Right.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Kristen, can you go first?
Your census data, is that downloaded from the census, or is that included as part of the software from Maptitude?
Yeah, so the census data here, let me actually, so on this one here, let me pick a slide. Yeah, so we have a couple options. One is if I wanted to, I could go to the Census Bureau and pull census tract data for a select geography if I wanted to. So I can go to and usually it's going to come like at the state level. So I'll go in, I'll say, give me all the census tracts for 2020 or 2010 for the state of Alabama. And you're going to download a shape file and a tabular data file for that area. Maptitude gets that same data from the Census Bureau. They just have gone in and created their own layer set here that's preloaded into the software. So you can do it that way. But yeah, you can bring in your own data from any other sources you wish. I happen to bring it in or from the Census Bureau. You go to IPUMS, get historical data, no problem. I just use the prepackaged data here just because it's super easy and convenient.
Cool. So Susan, do you have any question?
I had a question from earlier on when you were discussing it. You said that it's great information that we can access a free user with the United States, but it includes options for other countries. My question is, do the other countries provide a census report or data for similar to the United States?
They do. It depends on that country's data stuff. For instance, the only other country I happen to have is Canada, since I'm up here in Northeast Washington, close to the Canadian border. I have done some cross-border trade area analysis. They bring in, if you get the Canadian package, what you get is all the roads and streets and things like that. Plus you get the census layers that the Canadian census collects on their semi-annual or every 10-year basis for Canada. It varies greatly from country to country. What's available, again, for most first world nations, they have stuff available. There are countries, where, for instance, Mexico, data is available, but addressing down in Mexico is really complicated, and the geocoding doesn't work as well for Mexico just because of the way the roads are addressed. The one country they do not have a data set you can buy is China. They're just, because of the way data and stuff is disseminated from China. But again, there are other sources for that. You can go through other third-party vendors. I believe Michigan State University has a big repository of China data and things like that. So again, yeah, for instance, yeah, you can get the Canadian package if you're doing a bunch of work up in Canada or something like that. And all this data is available. Or again, you can go into Stats Canada and download your own data sets.
Is there any other
you.
question? So if no, I have two questions.
Two
go ahead.
other questions, actually. They might be a bit of a tangent, though, so if they're out of your wheelhouse, just let me know. Is it possible to do like historical mapping with these?
Yeah, so Maptitude has historical census tract layers you can purchase. What I have done is I go through the University of Minnesota has a called IPUMS, has a great repository of historical census data. That's where a lot of the old census data actually goes. And so I actually did a project a few years ago looking at shopping malls in the Detroit metropolitan area in Detroit, Michigan. And we pulled census tract data from 1970 and 1980 for that one. And so we pulled it for, I think it was for, well, I think we actually were able to pull by the county level. So we pulled for several counties census tract data, and then the data was available. Now, historically, a lot of times you're not going to have the same rich data set you have for today. We just didn't collect it back then. So maybe there, I think I had income data, population data, maybe some age or sex data, and maybe some educational attainment data. And that was about it. So it's more basic, just because the census maybe didn't collect that rich data or has it just disseminated down to the granular level. But mostly for historical data, census tract level is about as granular as it gets. Block group data or block level data is harder to find, but you may be able to email somebody at the Census Bureau directly who might be able to pull that data and send it to you. Okay,
cool. And my other question has to do with, once again, the international questions.
Sure.
How does this interface with countries that have are resistant to are resistant to things like addressing and such? I know that I have many friends from Eastern Europe, and they have memories of genocides in their lifetime, and
okay.
their countries are resistant to tracking, such as addresses and such.
Yeah, that's a great question. So like here in the United States, when I go in and do the geocode of the McDonald's, on the street layer there, they actually have block ranges on the street layer. So it goes in and says, okay, here's the McDonald's at 3800 3rd Street. It's going to look for the 3800 block range 3rd Street and put that dot on there. The United States is, probably unusual. We have a really good addressing system. You're absolutely right. You go to other countries, that data may not be available, especially in Eastern Europe. Or, a lot of that data is going to be really heavily aggregated to a larger geography, say at the scale of a county or something, which may or may not be useful to you as a user. So again, it really depends on that data. Again, here in the United States, same with Canada, fairly robust. Most of Western Europe, again, you got a pretty good system of data out there. But again, it really is hit and miss by country by country.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I have a question.
Yeah.
This is Dr. Allagan. I'm a young professor to Troy University, and also I'm a professor at Alabama State University. My area is GIS and many other areas.
Okay.
At Alabama State University, we are a group of faculty members. We are talking about how GIS can be integrated to civil rights studies. So Montgomery is one of the major, one of the prominent, significant city in the civil rights movement. If you look at this map, I have done many of the maps looking at the GIS in Montgomery and the civil rights issues. This is a very classic example. I don't know how many students are here. If anybody that you are interested to talk about civil rights, poverty, disparities, food deserts, income, patterns, ethnicity, this is a very classic technology to understand the social disparities of Montgomery City. If you look at just one example here, the McDonald's or Walmart's, every places are located in the East Montgomery. Only one place is located close to Maxwell Air Base. Because Maxwell making over $80,000-$90,000, it saves to Maxwell Air Force Base. But East Montgomery definitely making $80,000 and up. But if you look at the West Montgomery, which is Day Street and beyond I-65 West towards Selma, it is predominantly African-American community. They don't make that much of money. It is significantly divided in the division of East and West. So it clearly tells where business goes. End of the day, what matters to Walmart and McDonald's and whatever the places we are talking about, end of the day, what matters to the businesses, how much dollars they're going to make it. So this is one of the very classic example. Are we really saving the people from Montgomery? Of course it's not. If you look at the East Montgomery here on this side, yes, everybody's located there because they make the money, but on the West Montgomery, it's not there. So the question is coming here, the civil rights question is coming, what to access? So this is very classic. This is fantastic. Thank you very much.
No, absolutely, you're right. And again, other layers we could be looking at here besides population could be, we could have done a thematic map here of income. We could have done a thematic map of access to education. We could have done a map of ethnicity or race. And those all would bear out exactly what you just said in terms of not all cities are equal, and there are historical development patterns in every city, good or bad, and that can display out. So absolutely, like I said, we just looked at population today, but you're absolutely right. If somebody wanted to, you can look at several different other geodemographic and socioeconomic data sets that would answer those other questions.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Elegant. And then our Department of Geospatial Informatics also provide a GIS major and minor. We are teaching students how to do, for example, how to map this thing. And at the same time, for example, if you think the location of McDonald is related to the outcome, related to the race, related to the education background, we can do the statistic regression to see whether it's related statistically. So I think in addition to making a map, we can also do some research to prove our hypothesis. Okay, so is there any other question? The last question. No? If no, I have one more question from one of my students who cannot attend this webinar. So she was asking, is the population data set available in the zip code level or the census block level or census tract level?
Yes, absolutely. So all this data that we shared today, let me actually go back a couple of slides here. Okay, so when all this data, so if you get Maptitude, if you get either at the census block group level, the census tract, the zip code, the census area, metropolitan areas, counties, and states have all of this data that you see here on the screen included. And they've gone through, Maptitude has just gotten that data aggregated and cut up into those appropriate geography levels. So it just depends on what you're doing. Yeah, so if you want to do zip code level mapping, it's great. A little quick story, several years ago, my wife and I were in Knoxville, Tennessee. We went to Dollywood, and one of the things when we purchased our tickets at the ticket counter, they asked us what was our zip code. Well, I happen to live in Spokane, which was 99224. So they put that in there, but they were doing a quick GIS or quick data analysis, so they can figure out, okay, hey, when we do our marketing or figure out where we should do television commercials, they can figure out who's coming to the theme park. So again, and that goes into big data. So every time you buy something with your credit card, you're going into big data, and you're being tracked at your zip code level or other ways. So again, all this data you see here is available, all the levels for the block group up. At the block level, not quite as much is available because they're, especially in some areas with few people, as they're worried about kind of people zooming in so far as to figure out a person's information, or they can't really aggregate it out far enough. So not all this information here is available at the block level, but for the block group and above. If you're a retailer or a real estate person doing commercial real estate, you probably aren't using block level data to begin with. You're probably using block group level or track level data to do most of your analysis.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas. So I think that's all we have today. And we also inviting Mr. Lucas and other GIS technicians to have another GIS webinar in the coming GIS Day, which is on November 18, 2020. So we are going to have that flyer on our campus. So you are welcome to join us again on November 18, GIS Day for our campus this year. So, okay, thank you again, Mr. Lucas, and thank you all of our attendees. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.